So definitely from the get-go, performance enhancing drugs was a non-negotiable for me. I was like, no. Natural
Yeah.
bodybuilding is not instant gratification. It takes a lot of time,
Yeah.
but it's 100% doable,
Yeah.
and it just takes time. It's a patience game. I feel there are more bodybuilders not on steroids than there are on steroids.
Welcome to another inspiring episode of Women in the Making. I'm your host, Niya Desai, and today we have a story of resilience, passion, and transformation. Our guest, Radhika Bhatia, has navigated the highs and lows of life with unwavering strength. From growing up in a fitness-driven family to facing the loss of her father at a young age to becoming a successful nutritionist and natural bodybuilding champion, Radhika's journey is one of determination and empowerment. Whether you're looking to fuel your fitness journey or find the courage to pursue your dreams, Radhika's story will definitely leave you inspired. Let's dive in. Radhika, welcome to Women in the Making Season 3. I'm so glad you were able to make it today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just so excited to be here.
Of course, and it's all our pleasure. We've never had somebody from the nutrition industry, so I'm super excited to learn so many amazing things from you. You have such a unique story. You grew up in a naval base in India, and there's a lot of discipline. There's a lot of impact that is for life that
Absolutely.
you learn from living in those places. Why don't you share a little bit about your journey?
So just a little background, like a quick update, like what about me? So my dad was in the Navy, and he was in the medical category because he got a brain hemorrhage in 1984. And the reason why he got a brain hemorrhage was because he had lupus, and that was later detected. And he was about to go to the submarine. He qualified to be on the submarine, but he couldn't make it because he fell sick. So since the day I was born, and from the time I started understanding what life was, I knew that my dad was going to be sick for all my life.
Yeah.
So we didn't move much because we had to be around big hospitals all the time. And so we stayed mostly in the Maharashtra area. So we went to Bombay, we went to Lonavala, we were in Pune. Like we were in those areas. So we didn't move as much as what usual naval army officer kids and families do, but we moved a lot. Because my dad was unwell, or he realized that, his longevity and his health depended on what he ate, how active he was. Physical activity was an extremely important part of our lives.
Right.
Like right from the beginning. So swimming and running and biking and basketball and badminton.
Wow.
I think we did it all. And it was not a choice. It was you have to do it, And we were lucky that we had the opportunity to do it all.
Yes, I agree with that because I tell so many people about the fact when I see Olympics and people ask that India is such a big country and why there's such little delegation from India. And I tell them the truth behind is we don't have access.
No, we don't.
And we don't have those parks just like we have in America. And the first time I moved here 17 years back, I was in awe that there's a neighborhood park
Exactly.
for every neighborhood. And I've never heard of that before, right? We would grow up in a place where a park was shared by maybe, I don't know how many neighborhoods.
Yes.
And it was incredible that at least the kids from Army and Navy had those because they were also confined to that area. So to be provided with something like that was wonderful.
Yes, and that actually becomes your life, because your naval base or your cantonment is usually pretty far off from the mainland. So you don't have access to the shops, you don't have access to the markets.
Right.
And what do? It is that small community and you make your life in that community.
Right.
So that really becomes your everyday, those activities, those little parties, those tambola evenings, and that is your life.
And I know this is a tough question for you to answer, but you lost your dad at a very young age.
Yes.
With lupus.
With lupus.
And it's not something that I had heard before unless I heard that from you. Because there's just so many things out there in the world and we are not aware of that.
Yes.
I wanted to bring a little bit of light because I researched about it, and there's so many cures in today's world if it's detected at the right time.
Yes.
Do you want to like shed light on when was the time that you got to know that your dad had lupus and what kind of treatments he had to go through and the struggles that you had to live with and then, after him?
The reason why he got that brain hemorrhage was lupus. Lupus is an autoimmune disorder. Today, it is very manageable, just like diabetes. It is bothersome, but it is not as bothersome as it was then.
Right.
At that point of time, the only thing they did was steroids and more steroids to keep your side effects at a minimum.
Right.
But steroids had its own side effects.
Right.
So eventually, when he passed away, it was because of multiple organ failure, and we've literally seen it happen one organ at a time. It's been a journey.
Right.
And at that point of time, he survived it for 16 years, and the doctors were very happy with how long he could live, with how complicated his diagnosis was.
Yeah.
Because by the time he was diagnosed, pretty much all his organs were impacted. So it was an advanced stage. So it's definitely more manageable and easier to manage when it gets diagnosed at an early stage.
Right.
But we weren't so lucky.
I know. It's never easy to lose a parent at any age of your life.
So I was 16 when that happened.
Exactly. And I think you've already shared my next question, which was I wanted you to share an anecdote about, a pivotal moment during your childhood that made you realize the importance of mental and physical activity.
I think we did a lot to get to that mental state that we were in. So just for example, I'll give you. So my dad was into physical activity, right? A lot of it. So he would do random stuff with us. We were pretty good swimmers. By the time I was 8, 9 years old, I was a really good swimmer. And my sister was much older. She's 6 years older. So she was a really good swimmer too. So one time he took us on a boat. He's like, let's go have some fun. So, weekend, we went on a boat. He asked us to jump in the middle of the lake. And we were like, are you crazy? And he's like, just do it. So we did it. And he's like, okay, swim back. I'll see you back.
Oh my
And we were like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that? And he's like, just do it. And we did it. And we swam back.
Wow. And how much was the distance?
I think it was a good mile and a half.
Wow.
And we were like blown away that we could do it.
Yeah.
We were upset with him for making us do it.
I'm sure he was watching you from somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But so he's made us do random things like this. He would take us to this firing range where all these under trainee officers used to practice their target shooting, and he would like make us lay down on the floor. Our elbows used to be all bruised and hurt from being on the ground, and he's like, you got to do it. And rifles heavier than me at the time, and I was like, why are you making me do this? But when you could do it, you would hit that target shot and you'd feel so proud that, oh my God, I did it, And then even as far as his disease was concerned, like his disease wasn't our life. It was a part of our life.
Right.
And I think just going through those adversities and persevering through them, in a happy way.
Yeah.
And with a positive mindset, I think that just led up to our mental strength. And I really strongly feel that you can't be physically strong until you're mentally strong.
I agree.
Like mental strength carries you forward. Like even during, say, a bodybuilding prep,
yes,
you cannot be physically strong till you're mentally strong.
I agree with you. I do a lot of big hikes. And, sometimes it was just the belief that I can do it. I'm not per se like the fittest woman, but I can do hikes that a lot of people cannot do because I've built that mentally more than physically.
Yeah.
But if you take me to a gym, I won't be able to do any weightlifting because again, it's in my mind that I don't think I can lift weights.
It's just what you put your mind to. And the moment you decide that, yes, I can do it, that's it. You'll be able to do it.
I want to say, anybody in Bollywood watching this is Dangal Part 2. Easy for you. She's available to be scripted.
Yeah. So there was no one pivotal moment, It was my learning step by step.
Yeah.
And even after he was gone, the way my mom managed the whole thing, it was amazing.
It's incredible. Thank you for sharing, Radhika. Radhika, your pregnancy was a big shift in your career.
Yes.
You were put to bed rest for a long time, and that happened to me as well. What was the biggest challenge that you faced that time that you decided that you want to have a career in the fitness industry?
So when I was put on bed rest, I had to quit my job. You know, my job it wasn't something, at that point of time, you couldn't just sit at home and work. You know, you had to be there in person.
Yeah.
So at that point of time, our priority was, when we got pregnant, that was a big deal for us because it took us a really long time to get pregnant. And because it was high risk, there were a lot of hormonal imbalances that I had to face. So being at home was not an option. I had to be. Once the baby was born, you know, I decided I didn't want to go back to full-time working because I wanted to spend time with my kid. And because of my complications and all of that, my doctor had told me that if we want to have another child, I have to get pregnant within the first year of
and
having
that's
a baby.
the toughest time because
That
your
is the
body is
toughest
not
time.
healed completely.
Exactly. So I had really severe endometriosis, and I went through a lot of hormonal treatment before I could get pregnant. So she's like, if endometriosis kicks in again, you'll have to go through all the medical trauma that you did. So, you know, it's better that you just cry it out for 2 years, have 2 kids back to get back, and then your
It's
body...
like raising twins.
Yeah, and then your body can come back to you. So I was like, okay. So going back into a full-time job was not an option. So I decided to start doing my diet plans and all of that at home. So I have a master's in dietetics. And so that's what I started doing. So I started giving free diets to friends, free diets to neighbors. You know, it started really small because I wasn't sure how it's going to go. But then people started seeing results. And it was fantastic. It was such a confident boost that, yes, you know, I can do this sitting at home. And it didn't take too much of my time because I balanced it out. I decided, okay, I can only deal with 6 clients at this time, you know. I can't handle more with my baby. So that's what I did. So I think 1.5 years down, when I felt a little more settled in my life with my kids and, you know, my work was kind of taking, it was happening in the background and I was being able to manage it, I decided I wanted to enroll in a bodybuilding competition. And at that point of time, India had barely any competitors. I can name 2 on my fingers, like, you know, so there was nobody. So I couldn't find a coach in India. So I found a coach in the US. I wanted to work with a female coach. So I found one in the US. She was amazing. And I still remember her name. She was Sally Leung. She was from Canada. She was so kind and she was so good and she was so understanding of my family situation. But she was a badass. She's like, you know, I will make you work because I know you can do it. So she gave me a diet plan. She gave me a workout program. And that's the first time I think I got into the gym to lift weights with the intention of lifting weights. Because for bodybuilding, if you want to change your body to look a certain way for stage, lifting weights you can't do without it. You have to. So that's the first time I think intentionally with focus I lifted weights. And I was in love. I felt so powerful, you know, every time I lifted the weights and I felt I belonged there. And the nutrition aspect of it was just amazing because I've always worked with weight loss, weight gain, you know, metabolic disorders, diabetes.
Who does not?
But when I started bodybuilding, the nutrition for bodybuilding was 100% different. It was nowhere close to what I had been doing. So this was something so new. And then, you know, the last 1 month before a show where you tweak little of your nutrition and you see changes in your body by the day. That was so fascinating to me, like how nutrition can do so much.
They say that it's so 80% nutrition and 20%
training.
Exercise, right?
Yeah. And it was so fascinating to me. I mean, I fell in love with the whole process and that was it. I was hooked, you know, so that had become my life. It had become a major part of my life. Not bodybuilding per se at the time, but weightlifting. I mean, I fell in love with the whole process and how you could tweak your nutrition, see your body change, tweak your nutrition, see your body change.
That's incredible.
It was amazing.
I mean, competing as a natural athlete in bodybuilding is such a big achievement in itself, especially for South Asian women, because we don't see them enough.
No. Yeah.
What mindset shifts you had to compete, especially you knew that you were not going to use any performance enhancing drugs. How did you do that? And, tell somebody who's listening to you who wants to be another Radhika in the making.
Yeah. So definitely from the get-go, performance enhancing drugs was a non-negotiable for me. I was like, no, I was aware of the side effects and, not just physical changes that you can see by taking performance enhancing drugs, but the damage it can do to your liver, to your heart rate.
Yeah.
So it was a no-no for me. So the first show was a easy breezy thing. I think it was not so competitive also because I was one of 4 women on stage, and there were 200, 300 boys.
Wow.
So it was
that's huge.
Yeah, it was an experience. So you knew that even if you weren't the most conditioned, you're really going to be on top of it, So I think it was a step in the process. But when I came to the US, I wasn't sure if it's possible, to be a natural athlete. So I actually went and attended a natural show here. And I was blown away. If nothing, the athletes were, if not at par or better, they were just amazing. And that gave me so much of a boost of confidence that you can do it. Obviously, then I did my research and I spoke to a couple of coaches here, and I worked with a few also, and I just realized, in my opinion, it just takes longer. Natural bodybuilding is not instant gratification. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it's 100% doable, and it just takes time. It's a patience game.
I agree.
That's it. So anybody who wants to get into bodybuilding, go for it. And bodybuilding doesn't mean that you're going to get big muscles.
Correct.
And for women...
And we're going to break some myths in the next segment.
And women categories, yes, there are some categories where you need a big... But
Correct.
That honestly is very, very hard to achieve.
Yes.
In a short span of time.
And I have a story for that, because you were just talking about somebody who has to be a little more built for the weightlifting category. Sarah Robles, she is America's the first American to win bodybuilding medal at Olympics in 2016. And then I think she won again in 2020. So, and she won in the 75 plus kg category, which means, she was definitely a bigger build. But she struggled with, her finances, her sponsorships. She had to go through so much adversity to be where she was then. Firstly, women were not competing enough in 2016. Yes. And imagine America wins so many medals every year. But that was the first medal that somebody had won from a woman's weightlifting category.
Yeah.
So it just reminded me of Sarah's story.
It does. And bodybuilding is an expensive sport. And honestly, it is so individual that
it is.
Unless you really reach the top, it's very hard to find sponsorships and, somebody to guide you in the right direction.
Yes. I think I had another question for you. The fitness community can be both supportive and extremely fierce and competitive.
Yes.
How do you navigate the dynamics, especially when you are competing at such a large scale? Is there fierce competition?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you see kindness around you? Are people great? Or you see that eye-to-eye contacts like it's completely different vibes?
No. So it looks really fierce, and it is very fierce on the stage. I mean, the competition is only on the stage. But backstage, it is sisterhood. It is helping each other. And I think I've seen it the most in bodybuilding. In your regular social circle, it's very hard for people to comprehend why you do this.
Absolutely. I agree.
If you're not into it, it's extremely hard to understand why you put yourself through such rigorous diet routines.
Yes.
3+ hours of training per day, maybe an hour plus of cardio a day.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Yes.
What are you getting out of it? Not understanding that I do this because it gives me this sense of pride. It gives me the sense of accomplishment. You know,
And this
I
is
really
what you
test
are.
my waters. I test my discipline, and
Right.
I feel so proud of myself, you know, when I
You
do
should
something
be.
like this.
And I think it's just about having the right peers in your community.
I totally agree. You know, and this is the time, like during my prep seasons, I've realized who my true friends
Yes.
are and who are just there for the heck of hanging around. You know, people have a problem with you not drinking at social
Yes.
events. People have a problem with you, like every time I've gone during my prep, I've never stopped socializing. I feel like bodybuilding, again, is a part of my life. It is not my life.
Right.
You know, so I carry my food to a lot of events when I can't eat
Of
any
course.
other food but my prepped food. And like my immediate friends, like my 4 friends, they would just understand, you know, like they would steam broccoli for me and keep like on a separate. But some friends just don't understand. And, you know, you lose a few on the way. And after a certain point, you just don't want to explain yourself.
Not
you
at
know,
all.
like, this is my life. Take it for what it is. Or
I want to
you
say,
know.
Radhika, you've done such a good job of representing so many women out there on such big platforms. You should be extremely proud of yourself, just like we all are.
Thank you.
Radhika, this has been such an interesting podcast so far. I'm thrilled that you have been part of it. And
Thank
this is
you.
going to be one of my favorite segments. It's all about myth busting in the world of bodybuilding and nutrition. My first question for you is bodybuilding only for those who want to bulk up?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, no, no. Bodybuilding is for everybody. And it is to build some muscle, which is essential for longevity, for better mood, for better bone health, for overall well-being. Bodybuilding is for everybody. So as far as competitive bodybuilding is concerned, there's a difference.
Right.
Competitive bodybuilding, there are many categories for both men and women, and you pick what category suits you or where you fit in the most,
Right.
and then you work towards fitting in that criteria more and more. So that is competitive bodybuilding, but bodybuilding is for everybody.
Well, we've got the answer. Bodybuilding is for everybody. Do you think all bodybuilders are on steroids?
Oh no, not at all. I feel there are more bodybuilders not on steroids than there are on steroids. That being said, there are a lot of coaches who don't want to work with you unless you take performance enhancing drugs. Like, it's happened with me.
Interesting.
I was talking to different coaches
Yeah.
to hire one for myself. And there was this one coach, he's a very popular coach. He said, "Are you open to steroids?" And I said, "No, I'm not." He said, "Then I can't be your coach." You know, so you have to find the right fit for you, but you don't have to be on steroids. If you're a natural athlete, you can very well achieve what any bodybuilder on steroids can achieve. It probably might take you longer based on my experience, but you can get there 100%.
For somebody who's just getting started, and like you mentioned about this coach, especially if you're unaware, you're not sure, and you're just getting into it, it's really so easy for somebody to get into that. Get into the zone that she's such a great coach and she's the one who's recommending me.
Yes.
It should be fine, even if it's for a shorter time. So is there like something called a shorter time usage of the performance enhancing drugs and a longer term? Or it's just like they are absolutely not good for your bodies?
It is such a chain reaction. It's like when you take a small dose of something, you feel great. You achieve something that
Makes sense.
you want to do it. Then the next step is how do I get better? So, nothing happened to me when I took this small dose. Maybe I can take a little more and, I can do better. Then maybe I can take a little more. It's a chain reaction. From a little, it becomes a lot more because you become more and more hungry for your goal, right?
So well said, yeah.
So
it's an addiction
in itself. Like, bodybuilding becomes addictive because you get so used to that progress, your body changing. It's an endorphin kick, it feels great.
Right.
But and with performance enhancing drugs, you see the benefits faster. I mean, you see the fruits of your work a lot faster. So it is addictive, and
of course.
I
And everybody wants to look fast,
look good fast.
Everybody wants to
Yeah.
look the best, the fastest.
Yeah.
And that's why fad diets work till today so well, because people go 10 days, lose 10 kilos, right?
Exactly. And then the 10 kilos comes up in like 10 days after you stop.
I've done all of that.
Yeah.
And I agree with that.
So
I would not shy by saying I've not done that. And
yeah, we've all done that. I've done that
and
too.
I agree that they absolutely kick back on the wrong side of your
Yeah.
body,
Yes.
which you should not be working on. So it's better to work with somebody who's a professional, who knows
Yeah.
what they're doing. Does weightlifting make the woman look masculine?
Oh,
And
no.
this has been
No,
answered
no,
by
no.
many people, but we want to break these myths. Women are not still getting ready to go into bodybuilding because a lot of them have that myth that I'm going to become bulkier, I'm going to become big.
Right. No, not at all. I mean, women naturally, with our hormones, we're not tuned to become masculine at all. We can't make big muscles just like that.
Yeah.
You know, there is so much effort that has to go in to get those massive muscles.
Yeah.
And to put on that size is just not easy. It's not possible. Some women are just genetically programmed to put on more muscle than others.
Right.
And basis that, you have categories in bodybuilding. Like, for example, I put on muscle with a lot of difficulty. Like, I really have to feed myself so much food in order to build a small amount of muscle. And it's not easy to eat so much healthy food. It's just not, it's not like I can eat McDonald's and it's very easy to get all my calories through McDonald's.
Right.
But where your calories are coming from matters a lot in bodybuilding. So it's not easy to eat 3,000 calories, 2,000 calories of healthy food,
Yeah, it's not.
So it takes a lot of effort to put on big muscle. So for bodybuilding competitively, you eat a certain way to build more muscle. Your muscles won't become big, they'll become pronounced. But you might become a little bigger because you're eating a little bit of a calorie surplus to build that muscle. You have to eat your carbs, you have to eat your proteins, you have to eat your fat so that your hormones are stable. So all of that in competitive bodybuilding. But if you're a person who's not looking to compete, but is just looking to build muscle, eating the right amount of protein, the right amount of carbs and fat, maybe not in surplus, but at maintenance probably, will help you put on muscle.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be big muscle. That's going to just give you a toned appearance.
Right.
And I think that's what a person who's not looking to step on stage is looking for, right?
Right.
So you'll notice that your body is becoming tighter. You're feeling stronger.
Right.
So all of those things. So bodybuilding as a woman, you cannot just bulk up just like that. It's not
Right.
possible.
Because you're also a nutritionist, I thought it'll be so awesome to hear from you a little bit more about nutrition, because we did speak on the part of building your body in the right way.
Right.
But I wanted to, speak a little bit about and learn a little more about nutrition, because we just discussed that it's an 80-20 rule,
Right.
if I'm saying it correctly. And nutrition plays such a big part of even where you are today in life.
Right.
There's so many types of fasting that people approach in today's world based on where they are in their life.
Right.
Now, intermittent fasting is really big, but I've realized that for me, it doesn't work. I cannot starve my body because I start getting migraines.
Right.
And some nutritionist told me, it's just going to go away. It doesn't go away.
No.
So I want to hear from you that why intermittent fasting works for some people in amazing way, and it just doesn't work for people like myself.
So intermittent fasting works great for men. It works magic for men, and men are built in a certain way. Their hormones are built for them, that they can do it and they can survive. They can achieve the results. It'll be super fast. On the other hand, women, especially 35 and up, where hormone changes start taking place, it is known, the studies have shown, like the recent studies, that intermittent fasting doesn't work for women, because if women don't eat within the first 30 to 45 minutes of waking up, they produce a high amount of cortisol. And that cortisol really takes over your day. And it can give you brain fog. It can give you migraines. It can make you even more hungry throughout the day, where you reach out for sweets or
Right.
those kind of things.
Yeah, just
So
sugar cravings.
just sugar
yeah.
cravings. So that's why intermittent fasting doesn't work for women. I mean, the hormones don't allow it. That being said, it works great for people who are morbidly obese. It is a great intervention, giving them a
Right.
feeding window to eat certain amount of calories just within those 8 hours. But people who go for 16-hour fastings and 20-hour fastings, I think that can be really detrimental in the long run,
Yeah.
because you're really playing around with your hormones, and you shouldn't be doing that.
There's a story that I'd read about a place in Japan where there are a bunch of centennials, which means there are people who are 100 and over living there. Now, I was surprised to know about this, that firstly, okay, a lot of people over 100 are living there, but are they healthy? Are they really old? The fact is, they're super healthy. And I read about the 80% rule. It's called something that you only eat up to you're hungry, up until
You're
you're
almost
80%
80% full.
full.
Yeah.
And that was so interesting for me to learn that a lot of times, if we look back at our forefathers, they lived a longer age.
Yeah, but I think it was the composition of the meals that they used to have. They didn't have as much processed as we do
Right.
now. I mean,
Frozen food,
frozen
no.
foods, yeah, like all of that with preservatives and all of that. It makes a huge difference.
impact.
But as far as diet for an everyday person, I feel like your body is made to eat from all food groups.
Yeah.
Protein is, it's given so much less importance in our Indian diet.
Yeah.
Like it is completely neglected.
Yeah.
And protein is one of your most important nutrients. You need your protein.
Yeah.
And then you work your carbs and your fats around it. Fats are as important for normal hormone function. You need it. So saying that I'm not going to eat fat is not going to work in your favor.
Right.
The only thing that makes you fat is an excess of calories. It's
Correct.
not carbohydrates. It's not protein. It's not fat.
It's just
It's
everything together in the right
Yeah,
way.
you have to have the right proportion of it. No fat diet is going to work for you long term. So the better is that, okay, tomorrow you have a party. On Saturday you're going somewhere else. But it's okay. Today you can eat well.
Yeah.
Day after tomorrow you can eat well. When you're not at the party, the rest of the day you can eat well.
Right.
So, don't wait for tomorrow to start something.
I like
Just
that.
start it. And because life is never going to stop, it's always going to come in the way of you starting a diet. But you've got to tell yourself that no, this is not a diet.
Today is the day.
I want to make this my lifestyle. I want to try and make this my lifestyle. And going for a party is a part of my lifestyle.
agree.
So why not just integrate the two together, So I think that's where the mindset shift has to happen.
I love that. And we can keep on going on in this segment because there's so much that we want to learn from Radhika. But I just thought of this one last quick question for you. A lot of people in their 40s these days
Yeah,
are dying with heart attacks.
right.
And some say too much bodybuilding. Some say too much protein intake. But I want to hear from you because you've been in the industry. You are somebody who's in her 40s. What is your perspective towards, and of course you're not a doctor who can speak for them, but just as a general awareness, what do you think about what can people change in their lifestyle today?
I think sleep more. Sleep is one thing that's really neglected, and we don't give too much importance to sleep. But try sleeping for 8 hours at the right time. It doesn't mean that you sleep at 2 a.m. and wake up at 10 a.m. That is not going to be the right kind of sleep. But sleeping at the right time, working with your body's rhythm, and sleeping in sync with your body's requirement, and then waking up, within 7-8 hours of sleep, that'll change your life.
Yeah. And I think maybe a little bit of stress. I think people have these internal stress that they are probably not aware of. That was one thing that even I was considering, that a lot of times we don't know that we are stressed about so many factors
things
in our
Yeah.
life along with sleep and nutrition.
Yeah.
So I think these all just participate in their own ways,
way.
in
Yeah,
unique,
absolutely.
different ways that we can avoid. And thank you so much for, that guidance. I think that was
No,
very
but that
helpful.
sleep really makes a huge difference. And we feel like caffeinate work. It doesn't work like
Yeah.
that. And the older you grow, you realize that you need the sleep more than anything else.
Thank you,
And yeah.
Radhika. Radhika, we are coming towards the end of the show, and this is my another favorite segment, which is rapid fire. Quick spark with Radhika.
Okay.
Are you ready for those short, quick questions?
Yes.
Okay. The first one. What's your favorite post-workout meal?
So I love having a protein shake. And with that, I have 2 salted rice cakes with peanut butter and banana.
Make a note. If you could train with any fitness icon, who could it be?
It has to be Laurelie Chapados. She is a bikini pro. She has been an Olympian for the last 8 years, and she's awesome. So
Let's ring her. What's one fitness myth you wish everyone would stop believing?
that carbohydrates make you fat. They don't make you fat. Only excess calories do. So that's one thing.
That's really good to learn. Morning workouts or evening?
Oh, morning, 100%. Get it out of the way. Don't let life impact that. No.
One piece of advice for women looking to get into bodybuilding.
Don't take shortcuts. Don't overthink it. Just do.
And one last advice for anybody who's listening to you.
Just go strength train. Don't think about big muscles, small muscles. Trust me, get into it for 2 weeks and it'll become a habit. You'll be hooked for life. And the advantages that you will feel, you're going to be hooked. Just go for it.
Thank you so much, Radhika. This episode was incredible. I had amazing fun shooting you,
Thank you
recording
so
you,
much.
and mostly learning from you. You're extremely talented, knowledgeable, and such an icon in yourself. So thank you for who you are
Thank
and
you.
coming and joining me on the podcast for season 3. And really, really excited to see what's in store for you.
Thank you
next.
so much, Niya. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. I loved being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Radhika, for sharing your incredible journey with us. Your story is a powerful reminder that with determination, support, and a clear vision, we can overcome any obstacle and achieve our goals. For those of you listening, remember that fitness is not just about physical strength, but as Radhika mentioned, it's about mental resilience. Keep pushing your limits and never stop believing in yourself. If Radhika's story resonated with you, share this episode and let's continue to amplify the voices of women in the making. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and don't forget to share, follow, and subscribe.